We love it.
Yeah! Woo!
Okay, November 15th, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can resist, sorry. Lin, I suppose we should start with you. Could you maybe walk us through your journey with this movie? What does it mean, I guess, first and foremost, to be telling Jonathan Larson's story to you?
I'm so happy to see people gathering in the dark to watch a movie. Friday, and you're not missing out, so thank you for coming out and experiencing it together. There are things in this movie that I really wanted you to experience in a crowd, and I'm so glad you It means everything. I feel like I'm keeping a promise to you're always trying to keep promises to younger versions of yourself in your life, in general, full stop. And I feel like I'm keeping a promise to 17-year-old Lin, whose wig was blown back by rent in the back row of the Nederlander Theater, the mezzanine of Nederlander Theater, and I saw the brilliant Raoul Esparza-Jerry sang three times at the Gaines Street Theater, and the first time I saw it, it hit me with such a force that I ditched my girlfriend and walked down the highway. I put her in a cab first, I'm not a total monster, but I definitely was like, I can't go home, I have to think about my whole life, I gotta go. And like walked off into the night, and it was on 14th Street, I don't know where. I don't remember the end of that night. That was told to me by alien who I left behind. And so this show has been sitting in my head and my heart for a long time, and all the credit really goes to my producer Julie O, who thought it would make a great movie. She saw me in it in 2014 when I was at a total crossroads in my life. I was like post-Heights, pre-Hamilton. I was starring with my co-star from Heights and my future co-star from with Karen Olivo and Leslie Odom Jr. Yes, all for that. And I was super pregnant with Hamilton. My wife was super pregnant with our first child. And everything was just like in limbo. I was just in the limbo that ever limboed. And that's where Jonathan is. And it was sort of like, I was just young enough to be able to play it once. And I was very grateful for that. So Julie got the film rights. She emailed me. I said, I'm the only person who can direct this. And, I can talk the whole time, so I'm
So I know that you have said.
Before I even knew what it was, all I heard was that they wanted to talk to me about something, and I immediately said, yeah, sure. Whatever that thing is, I will do it. Like anyone in the room would. And then he introduced me to my long-lost brother that I didn't know existed, who was Jonathan Larson. He was someone that I look up to so much, and now occupies a pretty hefty chamber in my heart forevermore, and I'm indebted to this man for introducing me to an ancestor that I didn't know I had. Someone who was a revolutionary artist, someone who saw the heartbreak and pain of the world and took it into his own heart and made beauty and art and community out of it. Someone who was massively representational for his entire community, of all colors, all creeds. Someone who wanted to flip this city on its head and to remind us of our interconnectedness, to remind us that you are the other me and I am the other you. Someone who was a warrior for art. And these are all things that I long to live into, especially now having lived with Jonathan and allowed Jonathan to live through me in this experience. So it was an immediate yes, and with a caveat of when do you want to shoot, because I've never sung before. and then said, maybe with like a year. And I said, yeah, I can sing, I'm fine. Because I knew that he was going to provide me with the space and the resources, but also I think he saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. And that's what a great director is and a great friend is, and I'm forever indebted to you for that. Yeah. So, I'm just proud to be here with you guys. This is one of the most special projects, I think maybe the most special project I felt I've been a part of this, and even from America, and they're related. This is a film for Prior Walter. This is a film for all of the souls lost during the epidemic. So there are multiple layers of spirit happening with this, and it's for us, it's for artists, it's for actors, it's for SAG card members. It's all of our stories. So to share with you guys, these are the best moments of this whirlwind tour. This shit is the fucking best.
Alexandra, I saw a clip of you speaking about your audition tape for this film on James Corden, and I was wondering, for those who maybe didn't get a chance to see it, you said that you really went for it in this, and I would love you to tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, it is so nerve-wracking just even thinking about it. When I got the call for this audition, I was like, yes, everything, what do I need to do? Sure, I'll throw it on tape, I'll throw my hat in the ring. And like, okay, I don't want to mess up the song, you know what I mean? But at the same time, knowing that Lin appreciates all different types of singers and celebrates those singers, I was like, okay, I'm going to send in a tape where I'm doing too many runs. I'm going to put so much sauce on this here Broadway song. He's going to try and see what else I got. You know what I mean? Like that was initially my goal, and that worked. I was so nerve-wracked. My mom was like, "Will you send me your tape?" And then I watched it back the other day, and I was like, "No one is ever going to see this ever."
More sort of hiding behind the piano in the tape.
Oh, 100%.
But in a suit.
Well, maybe that's the benefit of Netflix, is that they won't be a DVD extra. Or whatever it is. And Robin, I wanted to ask about your audition process too. Something I interviewed you previously, and we talked about your approach to Michael and how you played the part differently, I think, than a lot of actors would or have on stage before. So if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, the audition process was really fun. Mostly because I got a really healthy case of the fuck-its. Medication. I just went in thinking, this is gonna go to like some major singer who wants to make a transition into acting, so I'm gonna just do me. And I also thought, like, Lin's my boy, but I was like, it's his first time directing. I'm like, he's gotta navigate a system. I'm making up all this shit, right? And I'm like, yo, so okay, I saw Michael. I was fascinated by the fact that in most productions I've seen, Michael's always like in a suit, and he's like a businessman, and I was like, fuck that. What I felt was really interesting was like, well, we're friends, and we're cut from the same cloth, even though we present in a very different way. And so I wanted to focus more on like that guy who was hanging out in the village and like dating and living in Soho, and like he had swag too, you know? So I was like more interested in that, and more interested in the friendship and sort of like that love story there. And then I auditioned, and the beauty of Lin is that like my Bolivar brother here saw me and has a platform and ability to uplift his people, and he chose to give me that moment. I've been here 20 motherfucking years. Remember that shit? Because the come up is viral. The come up is like we all gotta uplift one another and make sure
And Vanessa and Joshua, I feel like the two of you are almost in your own movie, mostly. When you're in the frame story and also the workshop scenes. So yeah, if you could speak a little bit about that. Did you sort of feel like you were doing a play within the movie about the play, within the musical?
We were just there to support our guys, you know? Like, and I think that was what made it so fun and so meta, was that like we were playing these characters who are actors, who are performers, who love performing, supporting their friend in his show, supporting, like, we didn't have to, like, do too much. We love performing, we love being on the stage. Like, us singing together is my favorite thing ever. I love singing with you all the time.
We had so much fun, and it was, I gotta say that singing with you and just goofing out and just acting a fool in support of Jonathan Larson, played brilliantly by Andrew, was the medicine that I needed at the time. Because as everyone knows, it was a year of just things being shut down. So we're very aware of the fact that 99% of artists were not working anywhere, especially here in New York, stage artists. And so we got to use our gift and have so much fun together. And we were aware of the fact that we were doing this for our artist community, because this is our story. So doing that in support of Andrew at a time when he was learning and growing so much as a musical theater artist, you know, it was so natural and fun at the same time. So yeah, it was a blast, and there were moments where we were like, we looked at each other and just teared up after singing some amazing harmonies.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, when we were singing Louder Than Words, I mean, that song, like, it's just, the lyrics are so powerful, even though it was written 30 years ago. And I looked at Josh and I was like, pages or wings? I'm gonna get that tattooed on myself. Right here. He's like, that's fire. I was like, okay, done. Yeah, I took myself to the tattoo shop, and now we got.
Yes! Woo! That's awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, Andrew, was there a song where you felt like the first time, what was the first time, I guess, singing that you kind of felt like, I nailed this, like, this is what I want to sound like?
I'm still waiting for that. No, but that is the beauty, like that divine dissatisfaction, that like no matter how close you get to it, you never get there. Like there's always like at least 5% that you can't quite reach to. And that's what keeps us coming back for more, keeps us more alive than the rest. Like that's why I keep doing what I'm doing, is that I rarely like anything I've ever done. This is the closest I've been to it, and I hate this. No, like it's vulnerable to say that. It's vulnerable to own that you love something that you're a part of, and this is one of those very rare things. And it's easy for me to say it because it is a collective. Like it's like I get to love all these people on the stage, all the people who are behind the scenes when I say I love this, and I get to love on Jonathan. And it's about something bigger than me, which is ultimately why we do what we do. It's like, it's to serve that greater thing. And in this case, it was to serve the idea of what it was to be an artist, and Jonathan specifically. And all the people that we've lost in our lives who left too soon with a half-finished song. That was it for me. But there was a moment at the end of the first week, and it was scheduled for the end of the first week, and it was singing Why in the Delacorte in Central Park. And it was scheduled for the end of the first week.
Oh my goodness!
Did I mention that? And I said to him, I was like, whoa, what's this? And he was like, yeah, it's going to be great. You're going to jump in, then you're going to dive in. You're going to feel great, and it's out of the way, and then the rumble, you'll just be clear for the rest of the shoot. And I was like, no. Why is this here? And then it's like, because we're going to lose the Delacorte if we don't do it. I love you. Thank you for your honesty. I loathe you. I have to go and cry and sing for the next 24 hours straight, 7 days a week, 8 like. So that was the build up to that moment. And then we got on set that day, and Julie Lawson was there that night. Julie,
that was an all-night shoot. We were shooting from sundown to sunup in the Delacorte all night.
And we got there, and it was a really important thing for both of us we got at least one great take live, vocally. Because, you know, it's an improvised song. He's figuring out this very impossible emotional moment that he has to move through with the potential loss of his heart, his best friend, and his heart in this regard, his heart is in his music. It was like, how do I move through this? And obviously he figures it out through a song. So it was really important that it was live and cracked and raw and real and honest. And I think we did the second take, and we both looked at each other, and that was a really nice feeling. And I suddenly thought, well, well, that is the hardest thing. Actually, you weren't lying the first time. Like, that did fit the
I
right
was
way.
spinning the fact that we weren't going to lose the Delacorte. But it was also true because I had that experience on Poppins Returns. Like the hardest animated sequence was the first day of shooting, and I was like, I wanted to murder everybody, but
You were going to lose the penguins if you did.
they are. That's cool. They're not nice. I just, as soon as that was done, I had brain space to do the rest of the many typical things I had to do. So I knew that there was an advantage to it, even though it was being handed to us.
No, totally. It's just a fun story if I'm mad at you.
And Joshua, I'm glad you brought up the fact that you were shooting this at a time when Broadway was shut down, so many theater artists were out of work, which is, I think, one of the reasons why the Sunday sequence is.
Yes.
We all remember the day that Lin was like, all right, come on, in rehearsal, like, I got a thing I want to show you. And he described what you just saw.
Oh my God.
I mean, everything in me was just bursting. All of these legends, that's what I love about this.
Woo!
We honor the people that inspired us to choose this line of work. It's the biggest, dreamiest sequence in the entire movie. And it's one that I remember when we watched it in LA in the Chinese theater, I felt like I was on a roller coaster. I was like, oh. On that Sunday, stop playing.
It is like the Broadway equivalent of Avengers Endgame when she's here and he's
Don't
here.
post this live yet, though. 'Cause we're still holding this secret for the people who can watch this on Netflix. Alright, this is for y'all. This is for y'all.
A good point, yes. I feel the biggest thing that comes across watching this movie is art, which sometimes comes at the expense of his personal life and his relationships, and I guess this is kind of a question for everybody. I mean, do you agree with the choices that he's making? Do you relate to him? Do you think that as an artist, sometimes, like how can you balance, I guess, life with making art?
Well, I will say that I do think that the movie, when you really look into it, there's several different things happening because he chooses to stay in it with the art, and I think our characters go, you know what? We signed this contract, and now we see the fine print, and I think I'm gonna renegotiate, and I'm gonna find my creativity elsewhere, because we do stay creative, just not following like the theater world and you got your thing. I do think that sometimes like the intensity that Jonathan has and that passion is also justified by like the fact that he knows that tick tick is like ancestors, it's an information coming from the divine saying like, no, actually this is very, very real.
You do have limited time, yeah.
You actually have limited time.
Yeah, and I think that like with Jonathan and Susan, there were times where I found myself judging Susan where I was like, girl, give him 48 hours. He could use a minute, like this is a is that when you're an artist, your art comes first. And Jonathan's art was coming first to him, but her art came first for her.
Yes.
And as you see at the end of the film, she chooses herself.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that I was given the opportunity to play a woman who chooses herself.
Woo!
So when you're an artist, you gotta know, like, they're gonna be up until ends of the morning, banging at their keyboards or stroking that paint on that canvas, because that's their love, that's their art. But you were there, you exist, and love is there, and love is real. It just comes in many different forms.
I think all of us would agree up here. I don't speak for all of us, but I'm a personal believer in destiny. I do believe in the idea of destiny, and I think for me, and we talk about this a lot, that's what the ticking is that Jonathan's experiencing. There's a destiny thing happening, and I think it's very, very hard to interpret. And I think he's trying to interpret. Is it turning 30? Is it the biological clock? Is it, my friends who are literally getting sick and dying at the age of 21, 22? What is this ticking that I literally keep hearing? But for me, it was this unconscious knowing. What Robin touched on is that there was a knowing that John, I only had until I was 35 to write my opus, to leave the world a richer place. I know that my destiny was to leave the world a richer place as an artist, and that's through Rent. And I think as well, there's a thing about the relationship, which is something that is very subterranean and very kind of unsaid, which is, I don't want to leave the love of my life a widow with a bunch of kids to raise on her. There's some weird knowing, and that's a little mystical, but we're all actors, we get it. But I really do believe that there was something bigger that needed to happen, that his own personal pleasure, his own personal joy, and it was to do with being this mouthpiece for a generation of young men who were being mistreated, young men who had their dignity stripped from them by the Reagan administration, young men who were dying and it could have been avoided, young men who were disrespected and abused. And I think he knew that he had this bigger destiny, and therefore he had no choice. It was like it was keeping him up at night. He was only able to sleep an hour a night because the muses were just trying to work through him all the time. He was touched in that way. That's my interpretation of it.
And it keeps going. Like everything you said about all those folks that get to be seen through his work, it keeps going because, you know, you look at me, when was the last time you seen a Puerto Rican queer man in a period piece talking about his narrative with HIV and AIDS? It's colonization over the AIDS epidemic, where now black and brown folks are pushed aside with women as well. And so it's so cool to come in now that, like, Jonathan is like still the coolest white ally we've had. You know what I'm saying? Like, he gave black and brown folks and queer folks such great characters that were meaty, that like we were allowed to be messy, we were allowed to have tweet like 3D, you know what I'm saying? And like these black and brown actors are now gonna take up that space. And now, after all these years of Rent running, like think about all the people who now own homes, who now got to have kids, who have insurance weeks, who wouldn't have if it wasn't for this thing.
This is a very low-hanging fruit question, but there are so many choices, so I'm just curious, for each of you, which is your favorite song in the film, which is your favorite scene in the film?
Please do me laugh.
And you cannot say all of it.
Nah. My favorite is definitely Louder Than Words, the last one, because Jonathan poses these incredible questions. Cages or wings, right? Fear or love. And you see him throughout the film struggling with these questions, or just writing down these thoughts, but he was so mindful. You know what I mean? Like, there was no answer to these questions. He had actually said, don't say the answer. But I love that because it makes you, as an artist, as a person, whether you're an artist or not, examine moment to moment what you're doing, how you're thinking with the time that you have with the people in front of you. So definitely Louder Words.
I mean, I don't really want to say therapy because I'm but I really love it with what Lin did with it. The way he chose to tell the story through this song and through this scene. The intercutting between the two, between a very deep, real, difficult conversation to then a performance that is so put on and almost puppet-like. It just feels so fussy and like so stylized and beautiful, and I think it's just a really special piece of art.
I would say why, but I feel like a lot of us make sense because those lyrics are so good. But I do love like that baby making version of Green Green Dress.
That was, so Josh just does that. Whenever he's working on, picks up a guitar and makes the baby making version. Follow Josh on Instagram. You'll hear a lot of baby making. But he sent me that, and he has 3 babies. He sent me this thing. I was just messing around with this, and he sent me a text. I was like, I'm putting that in the movie. And that's why it's in the movie.
I'm just glad that
It's true things that happen.
it's nice as somebody who had just listened to the soundtrack over and over to finally get to see what that dress looks like. Because 20 buttons and a strap is not really, doesn't describe a dress that I think I've ever seen.
We worked so hard on that dress too. There were so many different fittings that we had to make sure that it was perfect because we really wanted to honor that. But my favorite number was No More. Y'all ate that. They throwing him up like that on the wall and stuff. Yeah, it was hot. It was so good. You barely see like
My brother literally lifted me.
Yeah, that's an art.
And I'm having fun with film stocks on that because there's like a slight slow motion to it. So the first one, they're lip syncing at 1.25 speed. So then when it plays at regular speed, there's kind of intense like motion. And then the second chorus is 1.5 speed. And then we're going a little faster. And then the final lobby is 1.75. And they were really mad at me about that. Oh, it looks so good!
We got 23 takes and 2 of them were usable.
Take 7 and 12 were
Hey! For me, it's come to your senses. Because, you know, these voices together and how it mix and how they merge. And they were singing from the same heart. And they were singing to all of our collective hearts. And, you know, it's just like, it's movie magic, it's musical movie magic. And I just got to sit there in front of both of these goddesses with their voices, with this like a chorus coming out of their mouths. I got to sit down each day, and each day was different. Like my feeling with each person is so different, and it was front row best seat at the house, and 2 of the highlight days of the whole filming, and it kills. Like that number fucking kills. Like you can't help but just stand up and be like, that is musical theater heaven.
And could you speak a little bit about Come to Your Senses? It's such an emotional culmination of the movie, and obviously in the stage version it can't be duet because there's only one female actress.
Right. Yes. So yeah, it was the result of a lot of experimentation to figure out the best way to do Come to Your Senses. I always knew I wanted Susan ultimately to sing it, and I wanted to. The secret movie inside the movie that I felt like I could bring to it was what it actually feels like to be a writer and to put your stuff up, and it only exists when other people sing it and make it better. I don't write books, I write songs, and it doesn't exist until someone else elevates it. And so that moment when, and I've had this moment so many times as a writer, where I am watching someone sing something I wrote, and the audience is experiencing the thing inside the play. But I remember where I was when I wrote it, and I remember what my life was and what I was going through when that came out. I think of Hamilton, I always think of That Would Be Enough, which is, you won't find in a history book. That was a rare moment of inspiration where, like, well, Liza had some shit she had to say to Hamilton, and I had to write it down. And it's weirdly like the most personal thing. And I think about everything I think about my partner when I wrote that song. And so everyone is experiencing Eliza and Hamilton. I'm experiencing a totally different thing. And so I wanted to kind of capture that. And so you've got Caressa just like burning down the reading with an 11 o'clock number and wailing to the rafters, and that is happening in real life. But also, like, this thing that poured out of Jonathan at the last minute, as so often happens with me too, as well. And there's this, sorry, brief aside, there's the scene where Caressa goes to Jonathan and is like, can I hear my song? And he's like, any day now. And she's like, you're killing me. I literally grabbed just that scene and I sent it to Karen Olivo and I said, it's good to sue as like an apology. They have had to be in this situation so many times where it's the day of the workshop and I haven't written their song yet, and I'm running the morning of, because I suck. And it takes pressure to ignite it. But aside over. And so there is the number that is the missing piece of Superbia, and then there's also Jonathan and Susan and all of the stuff that got left unsaid in their last encounter, and all of the things that, how much they love each other, how much they both realize this is not going to happen because the trains aren't lined up in the right way this time. And so he's writing the closure he doesn't think he's going to get. And so it gets to work on sort of two levels. And if you go down one more kick word in Inception, and it's a totally different
And I mean, maybe you just gave your answer, but do you two favorite number?
I'm really proud of that. And also, another thing I'm proud of is the harmonies at the end of it.
Yes.
It really came out because we workshopped this like we were workshopping a stage musical, and I was like, oh wait, I have two singers, what happens if you do this? So that came out as a result of workshopping this the way you would workshop any other musical. And, but no, my favorite is, it's hard to say because no, it's not, it's Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday was, and again, I think about the ways in which we are linked in a chain, and the way that Stephen Sondheim has mentored generations of artists because his mentor was Oscar Hammerstein, and Oscar Hammerstein was so generous with his time and like such a good mentor and father figure, and mentored Jonathan. Jonathan writes him the love note in the form of this like total homage / parody of the greatest end of Act One in the history of musical theater. And I realized John only ever sang this alone. He only ever sang this at the piano. He never heard a chorus sing it. So I was like, I'm gonna get the fucking Jonathan's dream chorus. And that was the goal. The goal was like, create this galaxy brain moment, and his chorus like so loud that wherever Jonathan is, he can hear it. That was like the mission of that, and I'm really proud of that.
Do you have anything else to say about it? We talked about this, but sort of what you hope audiences take from the movie, what they do next after they see it?
This is actually, right? Like, this thing hit me as a ton of bricks when I was an aspiring artist and wondering whether to continue my journey. That's really all I want it to do for folks, is to hit them wherever they're at in their journey, because it was like a homing beacon for me. It was like, hey buddy, this is gonna be a lot harder than you think. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? I saw when I was 21 years old. It was a sneak preview of my 20s, and I was. And I was willing to just do whatever to make what I wanted to make and do the jobs no one else wants to do to make the thing. And the other thing I wanted to do, and we touched on this a little bit, is like, Susan's right. You can be a dancer wherever the fuck you want. You can be a dancer. Like, you can make your art wherever. And Michael's right. Like, you deserve to be safe. You deserve to live in a place that has fucking health insurance. You deserve to have things. And like, you can make choices that allow that, and that's not. And so we wanted to make those like not like I'm selling out, but like those are viable paths for us. Those are viable paths for any of us. But what are you gonna do? And so I hope this hits you wherever the fuck you live.